Hey designers, and welcome back. I have an update video for you today that I think you might want to hear, so stick around. Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back. I know, long time no see. It's been a long while. We've already been through Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and here I am. The last video that I posted on this channel for you was breaking my 40-day fast. If you didn't get to see that, you may want to go back and take a look at that. I talked a little bit about how to break the fast and all that kind of stuff. The video before that, I let you know that I was going to be doing that 40-day bone broth fast, and I thought I would come today and just talk to you about what my experience was during that 40 days and what it's been like since the 40 days finished. First of all, let me just tell you guys, this 40-day fast was by far one of the hardest things that I have ever done. Let me just tell you, it was tough. It was so tough. But I made it through, and I'm really glad that I did. And I was just going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I've faced during that 40 days, what my body was going through, what I dealt with during the 40 days, and then what it's been like now becoming acclimated to food again. I broke my fast on October the 25th. So that's been, 3 months now that I have actually been back to eating. But I can tell you that my body is still kind of in the process of just reacclimating to food all over again. It's not this easy thing that you're just going to be able to do it and bounce right back out of it like you would a 2 or 3 day fast. No, honey, this one is rough. And I just have to caution you that if you think you're going to want to do a 40-day fast, I've told you before, I'm telling you again, I really think that you need to be up under the supervisory care of your physician. Make sure that they're working along with you and keeping a check on you and your blood count and your sugar levels and all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that you're doing okay throughout that 40 days, because it is rough. And I really also believe that you need to have a physician working with you to bring you up out of that fast, getting you acclimated the right way into food again, because you guys, it is no joke. It is just no joke. If you've been following my journey at all, then you know that I had already been doing the intermittent fasting since the end of April of last year, 2021. So it had been, 4.5 months of the intermittent fasting lifestyle before I went into that really extended 40-day fast. And during the intermittent fasting phase, I would fluctuate my fasts, some 12-hour days, some 18-hour days, 24-hour days, 36-hour days. I did a couple of 2-day fasts and just fluctuating it off and on because, guys, I had let myself get in really poor condition, bad health, and I was trying to approach this the smart way and allowing fasting and intermittent fasting and the way that your body does with the hormones and just all the chemicals inside down to your cellular level, really just to heal and to do things the right way to get into good health. Because although, yes, one of the goals was to lose weight, the biggest goal was to get healthy. And so I had already been fasting, a fasted lifestyle, you may as well say, for about 4.5 months before I jumped into this long extended 40 days. The reason why I did the 40 days, if you haven't seen the previous videos, I did the 40 days because I knew that the Lord had asked me to. On a Sunday morning in church, I just knew that he had asked me to give him 40 days. And I argued with him. I started the fast. I made it 48 hours and I was like, no, this is too hard. I had talked with a couple of people and they were just very cautionary to make sure if you're going to do something like this, you make sure you do it right. It can be dangerous and blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of talked myself out of it. And about a week and a half later, the Lord just really got me again on a Sunday morning in church. And he said, are you going to give me those 40 days? And I didn't know exactly why he was asking me for the 40 days. I didn't know if it was just for a deeper cleanse for my body, if it was just deeper healing inside of my body, if it was just going to be a spiritual thing of learning the discipline of obeying even when it's hard. I really don't know still the full impact of what those 40 days were. But I know that I can tell you health-wise, Oh my goodness, you guys, it just was a journey unlike any other. Probably the most revealing thing, and we've talked about it on this channel a lot. If you've never watched the Transformation Tuesday videos, you can go back and you can watch those. There's a playlist, because you know I've been struggling with my weight and trying to get on this healthy lifestyle for years now. I mean, for literally years now. And we talked before in some of those videos about how a lot of it really is mental. It's mentally how we're connecting with food and what we're doing with food that keeps us locked in an unhealthy pattern. And the realization of that came more clear than ever before during that 40 days, because I am telling you guys, during the 40 days, I would go long stretches of time. During the 40 days, you can go back and see exactly how I was doing it. I'll save you all those details, but most days I was doing the bone broth with the honey mixture because of the health and cleansing out the candida, and then of course my water. And there were periods during that 40 days though where I would do like a 36-hour complete fast with not even the bone broth, 24 hours. I did a 72-hour, I think just once, maybe twice during that 40 days. So there were still periods of time where I was doing nothing, not even the bone broth. And honestly, I wasn't even hungry a vast majority of that 40 days. I just wasn't even hungry. Didn't feel the desire to eat as far as my body. So I'm like, girl, you are hungry. Eat. No, I didn't feel that, but I wanted food. Like I wanted food so bad, you guys. There were a few days that I was just like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to make it through. And it honestly, it was not because I was hungry. Like I was not in any discomfort at all for up until that last week. But, you know, I would drink my gallon of water a day, and I was keeping my electrolytes going so that I didn't get too depleted of sodium, potassium, and that kind of thing. And I felt really good. You guys, I had so much energy. Like we were still doing our walks, but real slow. It wasn't like an aggressive workout during those 40 days because that's just not smart. But I would still have so much energy. We had 3 birthday celebrations during that time. The Hubs had his birthday, Kristen had her birthday, and Steven had his birthday. And we were out and about doing things, taking them off for their birthday and just having a lot of fun together as a family. And I had tons of energy, like a ton of energy, and felt so good. But guys, mentally wanting that food. But it really taught me how little food our body really does need to exist every day. You only need enough energy to get you through your day, because that's what food is energy. So we don't need near as much as we think we need. And second of all, of how many times that I sit down to grab for food, that it really is just, whether it's emotional comfort or habit or whatever, just the mental side of that. You guys, that revelation, I mean, I knew it before, but I mean, I really knew it during that 40 days. That was the toughest challenge for me. Like I said, physically, I felt great. I felt really good. I had a lot of energy. I was still experiencing a lot of breakouts on my skin. I had showed you guys that before. Around my eyes, especially parts of my face, around my neck. Occasionally that still flares up. I'm still not sure. I think I've narrowed it down to a couple of foods that it could be, but I did a lot of reading and research during that time and found out about, I believe it's pronounced Herxheimer, the Herxheimer phenomenon or whatever it is. Anyway, it's detox symptoms as your body is detoxing, then some of the very things that the poisons can create if they're in your system create even worse as they're exiting your system. And so I think that's really what a lot of that was. I can't say that that's fully cleared up yet, but it is a whole lot better than it was there for a little while. But girls, I had so much toxicity in me from eating such a high sugar and high processed carb diet that I knew that was going to take a long time to really get it out of my system. And I believe that 40 days was a great boost towards helping that happen. But as far as things that happen physically, now some of y'all might think this is too much TMI, but this is an experience video. So if you want to know what you can expect, obviously I didn't have any bowel movements for the first little while because you're not eating. The first couple of days, I believe it was on day 7, after the end of the first week, I, knew that, okay, things that have been built up inside of me need to be flushed out of here, and I'm not going to have bowel movements if I'm not eating. So I did the saltwater flush that I have done on the lemonade cleanse. We've talked about that on here before. And believe it or not, even after 7 days of having nothing but that bone broth, I had a bowel movement, and a pretty good one at that. So that lets you know how much is just being stored up in your body, and all the toxins that are just going to sit in there if you don't clean those out. I believe I did another saltwater flush around day 10, somewhere. It was during that second week that I thought, because I was going to do one once a week. But then I got to thinking, after the second time that I did one, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to let my body do this naturally without the assistance of that saltwater flush, just because the bone broth is so good. That gelatin and that collagen is so good for beginning to heal your gut. And of course, I know with my diet, I definitely had leaky gut syndrome. I wanted to really heal my gut up really well. And I know the salt water is very abrasive. It's like a sandpaper. So I thought, well, I don't really want that flushing through my gut while I'm trying to heal it and fill in all those holes. So I quit doing that. Around day 17, I spontaneously had a bowel movement just on my own. 17 days of not eating. And I had a bowel movement, and again, it was a good one. Your body's just, I guess it just knows how to begin to flush that out. I did not have another bowel movement again until day 34. And then I had another one. So it was like in 17-day increments. Had I gone another 17 days past that, would have experienced another one. I'm not really sure, but it showed me that your body gets in a rhythm, and your body is going to detox and do things the way that it needs to do things. It's designed beautifully to do that, to heal itself and to cleanse itself. So that was interesting to me. That it was on, a 17-day increments, and that it just spontaneously did that on its own. Moving into that very final week, you guys, was excruciatingly tough. Probably about the last 2 weeks especially, and maybe hitting around the 20th day, maybe halfway through, I started getting extremely dry mouth. I am talking about, we've all had cotton mouth where it's hard to, you just feel like you got something stuffed in your mouth, and you try to get something to drink and you still just feel like, man, I'm so parched. I was drinking a gallon of water a day. Most days I was having the 2 cups of the bone broth. So I was getting more than enough liquid. Like I said, I was taking my electrolytes so that I know that my fluid retention was exactly where it needed to be. But I got so dry mouth, and moving into that last week, I was drinking more than a gallon a day towards that last week, and I could not, it was hard to swallow. It was hard to talk. It wasn't hard to swallow as in I felt like I was suffocating. It just was, I was so dry. That was really interesting. That was a very interesting phenomenon that I did not expect to happen. So that is one thing that could happen should you choose to do this with your doctor. And aside from just the cotton mouth coming off right there around that last week, I started noticing, it seemed like my hair was falling out. And now here we are, 3 months past that. You guys, every time I run my hands through my hair, I don't know if you can tell up in here today or not, the way that I have my hair, it is so thin. My hairdresser told me she thinks I've lost about 40% of my hair, and it's still just falling out. Now, the good news to that is she did say that she saw some new growth in there. So there's some new hair that's starting to come in. But the bad news is, you guys, it only grows like 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch a month. So do you know how long it's going to take to grow that hair out? The only good consolation to that will be is as it's coming in everywhere up here, at least it's not going to look so thin at the scalp because it'll start to fill in there. But I've read now that that's very common. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't expect it to happen, even just with intermittent fasting, or even if you're on a keto diet. I've watched a lot of videos from some physicians and then just some nutritionists that have said that that is a common thing that people do experience with a lot of fasting, the intermittent fasting or keto, and that it can happen for about 3 months or so. And then your body should just like get adjusted and your new hair will come back in, and a lot of times even thicker than before. So that was something I was surprised about because I didn't expect it. And I really hope it stops soon because you guys, I don't want to lose all my hair. But yeah, it is still coming out in globs every day. But the emotional part during that last week, you guys, I sat on my bed one day just crying and I said, I just don't think I can finish this off. And my husband said, you've made it this far. You can do it. You've got this. You've got this. He was great through the whole thing. The kids were exceptionally well through the whole thing, encouraging me. You know, there were times that we would go out to eat as a family that I would sit there with my water and I was not eating. and they were, you know, Mom, are you sure that you're okay with us eating in front of you? And they tried to be so tender and loving. And at the house, you know, they would try to get things out of sight, or they would tell me, okay, I'm fixing to cook me something if you want to go to the bedroom or whatever. And I tell you, I definitely could not have done it without all of their support. I really could not. And especially during that last week, you know, I told all of them just different days it would hit me. And I'd be like, guys, I can't do it. I remember I had 3 days left and I told Chris and I said, baby, I just don't think that I can do it. I just don't think I can. And she's like, Mom, you got it. There's only 3 days left. You've got it. And I think honestly what it was, if I really had to hone in on an answer of what was happening, I still wasn't feeling hungry. I mean, you have moments, of course, obviously your stomach's going to growl. You're going to feel a little bit hungry, but then your body kicks back over into that fat burning mode. It's getting its energy that it needs from stored fat, and the hunger really does subside pretty quickly. It was just emotional. And I think what happened whenever I hit that last week, like I knew I only had a week left. And then it was like, you start thinking about, okay, what am I going to break my fast with? What am I going to get to eat? How am I going to do this? And so your mind is more on the excitement of, oh, wow, this is almost done, that then it makes it so hard to stick with it. So again, it was just emotional. I'm telling you, it was just the whole 40 days, so emotional. But it taught me a lot about just exactly how strong we really can be. The old saying, mind over matter, it really is true. And of course, for me, it was really digging in with prayer, leaning on God like never before. You know, and I would tell him, say, okay, God, you've called me to this and you're going to have to help me. You're going to have to help me get whatever all this emotional stuff is or whatever, you know. So the 40 days was finally over. Thank the good Lord I was able to eat. I did that with you guys on camera, so you guys can go back and watch that if you haven't yet. I cried. I was so happy to eat. The next morning, you guys, it just, bam, hit me out of nowhere. And I was so sick that next morning. And just got really dizzy, broke out in this horrible sweat. And of course, everything that I had eaten the day before flushed right through me. For 20 days, as you're coming off of a 40-day fast, for 20 days, half of the length of your fast, you have to be very careful for only fruits and vegetables. And you have to be careful how they're prepared and all that. Do your research if you plan to do anything like this. And I followed those guidelines very strictly. And didn't have more than what I felt that I should have. Had the vegetables, didn't even add fruit. Matter of fact, I didn't even add any fruit in till probably 6 weeks or longer after the fast was over, just the vegetables. And for those first 20 days, from day 20 through day 40 after the fast, I added in a little bit of fish the first week, the second week, a little bit of chicken, and I didn't eat any beef at all till well after those 40 days, just to make sure that my system was waking back up. But after that first morning, you know, like I said, I got dizzy. I broke out into a horrible sweat. I had a bowel movement that was pretty major from the stuff that I had eaten the day before. And that lasted probably about half an hour as far as feeling really bad and weak. And then after that, it was just over as far as feeling sick. I took it easy that second day on the food again, just eating a couple of times a day and eating the avocado and just trying to stay very strict and very slow, waking up my gut. And I feel like I did really well with all of that. I really do. But here is where we are now 3 months past the breaking of that 40 days and the emotional part, you guys. It's like I still am doing my intermittent fasting. And up until New Year's Day, I still was doing one 24-hour day fast a week and one 36-hour day fast a week, just because of the different hormones and all that it does inside your body. Still trying to make sure that I'm getting healthy on this process. And I was doing really great. Like, there was no problem with the fasting at all. Then right around New Year's, I decided to try a week of alternate day fasting because I had seen some reports on that and it seemed to be so good for you. So I thought, well, I'm going to do a week of that. So leading up into New Year's Day, I was alternate day fasting, 24 hours no food, 24 hours you could eat, 24 hours no food, and so on. And did that really well. And that week was very easy for me. I felt like it was very easy. Like, the fasting part of that was not hard at all. But then we came off of that and I decided to take the next week. I was just going to go back to my regular intermittent fasting schedule, but we all caught the flu here and was so sick. And you know how it is whenever you're sick, you just want to eat whatever you can get your hands on, because we all were sick together. There wasn't any of us felt like stand up cooking. So I had like some canned chicken soup because unfortunately I didn't even have any bone broth that was pre-made that I could have heated up. And one night, I had a real sore burning throat. So I had a little bit of ice cream, and it was kind of like those few days of being sick just knocked me for a loop as far as being able to get back really strict with my eating. And I think right now I'm just at that place, you guys, where it's just like the thought of fasting for a day, the thought of going 24 hours, or the thought of going that 36. I haven't done my 24-hour fast the last 2.5 weeks, and no 36-hour day fast either. And I've tried a couple of times. I had good intentions and I started off, and my diet is still good. I have had some of Kristen's cookies, which isn't good, but trying to be very careful, limiting that to the 1 day a week there for a little bit. But over this past week, I've had the treats a lot more than I would have, as far as either grabbing some of her cookies or some of their flavored popcorn they got for Christmas. That's really been the extent of it. Some healthy chocolate that I found at in the organic section, but there was nothing in there that you couldn't have. But it's just been not being able to get that 24-hour fast in. And I know it's emotional, and I know it's just, I think because my body has done so much fasting since last April, and then I went through those 40 days, and then I came off of that and was still doing the 2 days a week, and then throwing in the alternate day fasting week. I just think it was so much that mentally, when I allowed myself to have those treats while we were sick, and I let myself have the ice cream. One night the hubs made brownies for everybody, and of course I had brownie, and it was just like letting myself have that little bit of sugar again. I'm not addicted to the sugar. I'm not craving the sugar. I'm not running in there getting it. But I think mentally that it was just kind of like, okay, you can have all this food and you don't want to fast anymore, and you really want to start sliding in the bad food. You know what I mean? So it's been a little bit of a struggle about the last week to week and a half. I do have to tell you, it has been an emotional struggle again, but thank the good Lord that I have learned so much and I've come so far. And I really want to keep pouring in those good seeds because I want good health. I want to enjoy my grandchildren one day whenever I have my grandchildren and be able to play with them and have the energy. I feel so good. My skin is looking so much better. I can get down on the floor. I can get up off of the floor. And it's just, I can do so much that I couldn't do before that I definitely don't want to go back. So don't worry if you're out there that, oh no, she's going back. I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I may be struggling right now to get those 24-hour days in, but that's okay. I told the kids I give myself permission for a couple of weeks to take it a little easier on the extreme fasting and then work my way back into those longer days on the intermittent fasting. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it because I'm still making the good choices when it comes to food, and I'm still taking my supplements and all of that kind of stuff. So even if I don't have quite the extended amount in the fasting area, I'm still taking care of myself nutritionally. So I just wanted to stop and give you that update. I know many of you have asked the question. Some of you are in our health group over on Facebook. You've been watching on Instagram and you've had the questions that have been coming in and you just really wanted to know the details and all that. So I thought that I'd sit down today and do that for you and just let you know, again, I really do not suggest this unless you do it under a healthcare provider. Make sure if you tackle anything like this that you do it safely, and especially as you're coming off of that fast and getting your body back acclimated to eating foods again. You got to do it slowly. You got to wake it up and take it slowly. So anyway, there you have it. That's my 40-day fasting experience. If you've ever done a 40-day fast, let me know down below. How was it for you? Did you experience some of the same things I did? Was it easy? Was it hard? Was it harder coming off of it? You know, waking your gut back up? Did you have great success and did you just go right back into food? I'm really curious. I would love to know. I don't know too many people that have done 40 days. And so I love hearing the stories. But at any rate, thank you so much for sitting here with me today, if you did, and watching this journey and joining on it with me. If you want to join the health group, I'll have that link for you down below. Send your request over there. Make sure you answer those 3 questions and we'll get you in there. At any rate, I really hope that you're taking care of yourself. Make 2022 your year for better health. Trust me, you're going to be so glad you did. You are going to feel so much better and it will be so worth it. All right. I just want to remind you, you were created for purpose. So get out there and be all you can be. We'll see you in the next video.